Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. Welcome to today's webinar session. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone from wherever you're joining us around the globe. Welcome once again to Microsoft Power BI webinar session with the team, Enhancing Business Decision Making with Power BI. My name is Goodluck. I'm a Content Syndication Executive from Reliance Infosystems, and I'll be your anchor for today. So with me on this call, I have certified Microsoft Data Analyst Olumide Olufiade and Fatai Sani, who will take you through all you need to know about Power BI. And on our agenda today, we'll be starting off with the introduction. We are going to introduce our organization, who we are, and why we are capable enough to have this session with you. And after which, I will hand over to the facilitator, who will start off with the value of business intelligence in decision making, all through to analytics for everyone, with the presentation and demonstration that comes with it. After which, we'll take all your questions and answer them. So in the course of this webinar, if you have any question at all or any challenge, please feel free to make use of the chat window, drop all your questions, and we'll do it to answer them. Just to mention, this session will be recorded and will be made available on demand. So the introduction proper. Reliance Infosystems is a leading ICT organization, and we are headquartered in Lagos, Nigeria. And so what do? We focus on helping organizations to transform digitally, and we do this leveraging on cutting-edge technologies, and we also help them. We do this trying to create unique value proposition for all these organizations. So talking about location, we have a physical presence across 7 countries, starting with Nigeria, Ghana, which is our sister company called Cloudware. Then we have Botswana, we have Kenya, Dubai, Pakistan, and United Kingdom. Also, we are digitally present across into 2 other countries, and we're able to achieve all this using our success strategy in Reliance Infosystems. So speaking of success strategy, we have what we call our success outcome philosophy. You see, this philosophy has enabled us to see our customers, not just as customers, but also as partners. So we also see their pain points as our own pain points. We see their success stories as our success story. You know, it is safe to say that their success story is tied to how we are able to help them to achieve their business goals. So in Reliance Infosystems, we have what we call our success pillars, and they include the business transformation pillar, the operational excellence pillar, and we also have the protection assurance pillar. I'll quickly touch on this pillar, starting with the business transformation pillar. So under this pillar, we have various solutions that we use to help organizations, excuse me, to help organizations to transform digitally, thereby helping them to lower their costs, maximize their productivity, and improve their efficiency. And we have solutions like the identity and access management solution. We have the business productivity platform. We have DR and business continuity. We have data center automation. We have cloud hosting solution, and we also have the intelligence building solution. Then the next one is operational excellence. You see, we understand that every organization have the way in which they work. So here we tend to connect the people, the data, the systems, and the processes in order to help them to achieve their business goals. So we have certain solutions like modern ERP solutions. We have customer engagement. We have payments and collection integration. We have data platform, the digital advisory, and also we have the business intelligence solution. So moving over to the protection assurance pillar. So under this pillar, after organizations might have transformed digitally, so they also want their data to be protected, considering the fact that data is the lifeblood of every business. So here, the idea behind this protection assurance is to sell rest of mind as a service. And we have these solutions that enable us to achieve this goal. We have the gateway protection, we have the governance and compliance, we have advanced threat protection, we have vulnerability assessment, and we have security intelligence. So far in Reliance Infosystems, our stride has enabled us to achieve certain capabilities and competencies. We have silver and gold competency across the data platform, messaging, DevOps, and data analytics. And also we have advanced specialization in low-code app development. We have meeting rooms and calling for Microsoft Teams. We have modernization of web applications to Microsoft Azure, adoption and change management. So it will please you to know that Reliance Infosystems has won several awards, starting with the Microsoft Country Partner of the Year, which we won 2017 and 2021 in Nigeria. And we also won the 2020 Microsoft Country Partner of the Year in Ghana, which is our sister company Cloudware, and also we won the Sophos Country Partner of the Year 2021 in Nigeria. So this is just in a nutshell of who we are and why we are capable enough to have this session with you. And on this note, I'll be handing over to Fatai, who will take us through the business of the day. Please don't forget, if you have any question at all or any challenge, please feel free to make use of the chat window, drop all your questions, and we'll answer them. Fatai.
All right. Thank you very much, Chinyere, for that. So once again, my name is Sani Fatai, and I'm a data analyst with Reliance Infosystems. And I'll just be I'll start in the business of the day. I mean, some of the questions that we would want to ask coming into this session is to ask ourselves, what exactly is business intelligence, right? And how do I even enhance my decision-making process with business intelligence, right? We'll be answering these questions and a whole lot more during this session. We'll also be solving a typical business case scenario using Power BI throughout this session. So it's going to be a very wonderful and interesting session, and I'm very excited and happy to get on this journey with us. So right about now, the first thing I would like to start with is to even understand what exactly is the value of business intelligence in decision making, right? And that is exactly what I'm going to be talking about. So the value of business intelligence in decision making, right? I mean, over the years, we have had a front row seat to digital transformation that is occurring across several industries and regions around the world. And in 2020, we've seen that, I mean, digitally transformed organizations have successfully adapted to the change that was caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, right? And now this same element that lies at the heart of digital transformation is also the one that is underpinning of organizations that have proven during turbulent times, and that is data, right? So data is what enables both analytical power, that is analyzing the past and gaining new insights, and also predictive power, which is the power to predict the future and plan ahead. Now, from that corner store with online accounting and bookkeeping to the largest retailers or internet retailers, right? Every organization now runs on data, right? And businesses now need to take a data-first approach to solve new problems and challenges that their businesses face. I mean, we've all heard about these famous words about how, or famous phrase about how data is the lifeblood of modern work, about how data is the oil that drives the businesses and the economies of the 21st century. And it is right, this is about time where we actually key into all of these to unlock potentials in our data, answer new critical questions about our business, maximize our profits, even minimize our cost, and even get more revenue, gain market share, and also ultimately outwit our competitors, right? Now, so this is exactly what our focus for today's session will be. Now, of course, it's one thing to gather and manage data, right? And it's another thing to make decisions based on that data. And this is where business intelligence and analytics comes in, right? So we have dashboards and reports to support awareness and the current state of the business, and also BI and visualization that strengthens the role of knowledge workers with informed insight, right? So without analytics, right, data is just like a cost center. So you have all of these huge calls setting your data center, collecting data from numerous sources, be it marketing data, be it recruitment data, be it sales data, operations data, and so on and so forth. And all of these data are going to actually be center if they're actually not the insight that they unlock that they have is not unlocked, and we're not using this effectively to make decisions in our business, right? So this data is going to be analytics is going to be cut center, right? Now, but with data and analytics and business intelligence, we can now actually make data a resource that is actually generating its own value and revenue for our business. So now I want to just quickly touch point on the evolution of business intelligence, right? So the way business intelligence is used in an organization has really changed significantly over the years. I mean, one way or one way of understanding these changes is using the analogy of the three waves of business intelligence, right? I mean, in the early days of BI, you have organizations would typically have a team or person that is handling all requests for insight from the business, right? I mean, right, and this model is really not very scalable as it takes long for, it takes a long time, sorry, yeah, as it really takes a long time for questions to really get answered. And I mean, before even these questions get answered, probably there are even more questions that has come up, okay? Now, to solve for this lack of scalability and gap that is between the BI team and the end users, the second approach that most organizations took to BI was to get BI capabilities in the hands of analysts who understands the business and can support decisions with analytics, right? Now with Power BI, right? We wanted to, we are now enabled, right? We have enabled everyone in the organization to analyze their own data, to ask critical questions about data that will help them run their businesses better and act based on this insight they find, which means that right now, analytics and BI is now unlocked for everybody in the organization, right? Because everybody is now empowered to take hold of their own data, ask critical questions about data, even if the old barrier to maybe writing complex codes and algorithm before we can get inside, all of those age is now really behind us. In this age of the new era of business intelligence with simple graphical user interface and single drag and drop feature, we can actually move from data to insight very quickly, which is truly remarkable if you ask me. So the next thing I want to talk about is that why business intelligence exactly? Why should we even invest in business intelligence? Why should we even make this as a core of our business decision making? And so I'll just touch point on some of the values that we can drive by embedding BI into the fabrics of our decision making, right? And one of these is how it helps increase efficiency and operation processing, right? With business intelligence, we are better aligned to make better decisions that is going to increase our efficiencies and improves our operation across board, right? We also get insight into customer behavior and shopping patterns. I'll touch points, I'll explain more about all of this as we go forward. We're also accurately able to track sales, marketing, financial performance, and a host of other key performance indicators. We can create clear benchmarks that is based on historical and current data. We can even predict, right? So, I mean, business is the first stage of business intelligence or all is when people are organizations are even looking in the rearview mirror about their business. They're looking at their data in hindsight, right? Now with the new potentials in business intelligence and analytics, you can actually have a real-time view and visibility into any key performance indicator in your business. So you get to see your data in real time, how it changes and how it affects critical decisions. And you're also able to look and plan ahead, which is really interesting. And also, finally, you're able to also get instant large about your data anomalies and customer issues. And you're also able to analyze perform analysis that can be shared in real time across departments, right? So in real time on the go, whether you're a C-level executive that is currently on the move, or you want to even have real-time view into the performance of your business, you can really do all of this with business intelligence. So the next thing I want to do, having given an overview of some of these things, I'd like to further drill down into some of the core values that organizations and companies like yours are deriving from incorporating business intelligence into their decision-making process. And the first thing I want to talk about is customer experience. I mean, there's no gainsaying that when you analyze your customer behavior, right, you are better able to understand, customer business relationships. You're better able to understand what relationship the customer have with my business. You're better able to understand what customers are buying what from my business. And now, right, by understanding this, right, you're able to create what I call a personalized customer experience. We can all attest to the fact that, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of buying pattern or customer buying pattern has really changed a lot. A lot of customers are really open to relating with all virtually now. Some customers even like a hybrid approach. Some customers would like personalized experience in relating with your company or in relating with your organization. And all of this is only possible when you're accurately tracking, measuring, and analyzing how customers are interacting with your business. So also, you're also able to, business intelligence also aids in customer segmentation. You're able to know what type of your customers are buying what, and you're able to understand, do some cohort analysis about your business. You're able to know what customers are really buying what from your business. And also, you're also able to predict customer churn. Because you've analyzed your customer segment, you've created buyer personas and profiles about your different customers, right? You know which customers are going to churn next based on the data that you have collected and based on analysis on your data, right? And by doing all of this, you are also able to improve your product recommendations because when you know what your customers are buying, you know how any decision you make is affecting them. You know what products and what items and how they even like to interact with your business or your brand. You're better able to improve your product. You're better able to improve your services. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is sales and marketing. We all understand and we know that when we incorporate business intelligence into the core fabrics of our decision making, we are able to have better insight into sales and marketing performance. We're able to know how leads are turning to opportunities and how opportunities are turning to engagements and how even engagement are ultimately turning to sales. You're able to track customers along that whole funnel on all that whole channel, or from the point, from the very first point they see your ad, you're able to monitor and how and effectively analyze and record how they move along that whole sales funnel from them to them buying from you. You're also be able to better understand consumer behavior. I think I mentioned this earlier. You're also able to identify buying trends. You're able to understand how seasonalities and trends affect your business. You know what are your peak periods, and you know when are your least performing periods. I mean, this is December right now for most e-commerce companies. We can see that a lot of activations are going on, a lot of promotions and campaigns are going on in terms of Black Fridays, Cyber Mondays, and so on and so forth, right? And it is only by effectively tracking what are our customers going to buy, how are these promotional campaigns affecting our business, how is seasonality affecting our business. It is by tracking all of this metric that you are better able to make decisions that will ultimately make you keep customers and also improve your sales and marketing efforts. You're also able to ensure that future marketing initiatives are effective and they can drive revenue. Because you have seen that maybe you sell on, you advertise on Google, you advertise on LinkedIn, you advertise on Facebook, you advertise on even other across several platforms. You're able to know what platforms do people, do customers even interact with my brand the most? Which are my most successful channels in terms of conversion rates and in terms of even engagement? And you're able to plan and ensure that future marketing initiatives are successful. All right. The next thing I want to touch point on is operations, right? I mean, we all know that in this day and age, we need to critically analyze our operational performance, whether we are in the manufacturing industry, whether in sales, whether we are building products, whether we are building services. We need to see and check how we can better improve, or how we can even automate some of our processes. We're able to see what redundant operations people or your staff are performing, and you're better able to plug in analytics to help with automating some boring and routine tasks. You're also better able to refine your processes because you've successfully tracked and measured this. You are now able to manage. There's a popular saying that it is only what gets tracked that really gets managed. When you're really tracking and you're measuring several KPIs, you're able to refine your processes. Also, you're able to reduce inefficiencies. You know when there is a downtime. You know when a system is going to fail. You know when a computer or a better able to reduce those inefficiencies because you adequately planned for this. Excuse me. And lastly, you're also better able to increase your productivity. I mean, once you've started tracking and you know when your operations are failing, you know when successful parts, you're better able to tune and optimize the variables in your business that are making you increase in productivity. You're better able to optimize those, and you're better able to have really interesting operations and really interesting and efficient operation. The other thing I want to mention is in terms of inventory control. I mentioned the case of e-commerce sites the other time, right? I mean, whether you're in a business whereby you're actively selling, whether it's in FMCG or in other several industries, right? When you're stocking, you're maybe bringing in inventory, you're selling with a very holistic and comprehensive BI solution, or integrating this into your core business decision-making process, you're able to improve your inventory management process. You're better able to understand when you're going to have stock outs and when what customers or what orders or what campaigns are going to improve your orders significantly, and you're better able to plan for that process. The other thing, you're better able to accelerate your order fulfillment because you've already seen, possibly you've tracked where your customers are clustered, whether you're running a courier company or you even have any logistics that is incorporated into your business. You already know where your customers are clustered, and you can actually plan effectively on how to accelerate your order fulfillment. You're also able to anticipate buying trends because you've seen and you've analyzed your business over the years and how the month on month and year on year and even quarter on quarter changes and how trends analyze or affect your business. You're able to better plan and anticipate buying trends. The other thing I want to talk about is security and compliance. We all know that in this day and age, security is really very critical. We need to secure our business assets, and we need to ensure that we are using this doing this effectively. And the only way to do this effectively is by leveraging on analytics and business intelligence, because by analyzing your security infrastructure across the entire length and breadth of your business, you're able to uncover if there are errors, you're able to discover security issues or anomalies, and you are better able to reduce the risk that is posed from compliance. Now, having said this, the other thing I want to touch point on is the business intelligence methodology itself. I mean, someone may be wondering that, all of this sounds fascinating and all, but this really sounds complex. How do we even break this down? How do we bring this home and break this down to the understanding of everybody? And that is where the business intelligence methodology comes in. And it is just very straightforward steps that you really need to take in your business to pivot from where you are currently to the state that you want to be. And the first step is to first of all even connect to your different data sources, collect and transform the data that you collect. This really sounds simpler than it is, because when you're able to connect to your data sources, whether your data sources are on-premise infrastructures or your data sources are in the cloud, or they are even spread across maybe multiple flat files or CSV files and all that, you're better able to connect connect to these data sources, and you're able to transform your data, right? And after doing this, you're now able to uncover trends, inconsistencies, anomalies in your data, right? And then the third step is for you to now use data visualization to present findings in your business. And finally, you're now able to take actions on this. So you're able to take action, you're able to get critical insights from your business data. Now, we've spoken about the value of business intelligence in decision making. We've spoken about some of the values. We've spoken about also the business intelligence methodology. And of all the tools that are out there, there are a number of tools, hundreds if possible, that promise you a core business intelligence and analytics in your business, right? Why should we even choose Power BI ahead of all of this other solutions that promises the same thing? And that is because with Power BI, just as I mentioned earlier, Power BI enables analytics for everyone in your organization, from the IT experts to the HR department, to the sales department, to the marketing department, to the operations department, to manufacturing, and so on and so forth, right? Irrespective of their strengths in terms of analytics or how analysis is concerned. So with Power BI, you're able to connect to a host of data sources, whether those data sources are in the cloud or they're even on premise. You're able to connect to over 150 data sources, from Excel files to CSV files to flat files to databases, be it Oracle, be it IBM, be it SQL Server, MySQL, SharePoint. You're also able to connect to a host of software as a service solutions, whether those ones reside on their legacy or whether even they are on the cloud. Now, by doing all of this, you're now able to leverage on the interactive data visualizations and paginated reports that are present in Power BI. And I have seen the kind of things you can do with Power BI, or the visuals you can do with Power BI, and they are really, really, really exciting, to say the least. Now, I mean, you're able to create better visuals. You're able to also leverage on AI functionalities in Power BI, right? I mean, in addition to you maybe having knowledge about your data and your analytics that you want to do, you are able to even just plug in your data and let Power BI handle all your analysis for you and present to you insights. You're also better able to handle big data analytics, I mean, through Azure data service, because your data is hosted in the cloud. And then all of this is built on a platform that is secure, that is compliant, and is enterprise grade. Now you've brought in your data, you've performed all your fantastic analysis and visualization. So the next thing is, how do you even consume this data? Are you going to send it every time to maybe C-level executives or even your colleagues or your department? No, you really don't need to do all of that. What you can do, you can actually leverage this data to push it, either embed this in a website, or you want to consume it on premise, or you want to even put it or you want to embed it into other applications or even other solutions, or you want to even consume it on mobile. So the list of what you can do with your data and how you can really consume it is really endless. And now there is this research that was carried out by a company that is called Gartner, which is an independent research company.
So, as my colleague was rightly saying earlier, so Gartner is an independent research organization that evaluates various BI solutions. And based on their findings, they was able to find out that Power BI falls into the category of BI solution, which enables various individual and also organizations to deploy their business solution successfully. Also have a high level of completeness. As you can see from the chart that we have presented to you today, we can see where that particularly, where Power BI, Microsoft Power BI falls under. It falls under the conduct of the leaders and also visualization completeness. So moving forward, we'll be looking at a typical organization that has been able to leverage on Power BI effectively to actually improve their business, right? So this organization has various homegrown solutions, right? So, and they are looking for a way to enhance their business, and they were able to leverage on Power BI to make this a reality. And in fact, they are connecting to more than 10 different data sources, and with this functionality of Power BI that allows them to bring all the data together without needing to go ahead and build a data warehouse whatsoever. So they're able to bring together all this data together, right? And they were able to use that unified data to generate various insights that actually bring value to the organization. Another organization that was also able to leverage on Power BI effectively was Etro. They have more than 775,000 staff, right? And each of these staff require so they require to be able to predict when there will be disruption and the like, right? So with the help of Power BI was able to allow them to pull data out of their business system solutions, right? And they were able to use Power BI to unify all this data as applicable to BI, right? They were able to unify this data and generate insight, which brings value to the organization. So now we are moving on to the second section of the presentation today. So we'll be showing you how a typical organization, right? Quantum is an hypothetical organization that was able to leverage on Power BI to bring value to their business. So Quantum as an organization, right? Okay, are you there, Fatai? Are you back?
Yes. So let me just continue from here.
Oh yeah, you can take over.
Yes, sorry, I really want to apologize for that. So, well, without further ado, I'll just proceed. So, Quantum as an organization, they wanted to leverage. So, Quantum is a large business and commercial loan institution. I mean, with objectives on breaking down barriers and building financial confidence. So, over 15 million people, families, businesses that they serve in different countries. And Quantum Group offers insurance, asset management, wealth management, loan, even further insurance, among others. Quantum have some peculiar challenges we are really going to talk about, right? So the reason why we're doing this is to talk about this company and try to internalize some of the learnings that we have made from the start of this conversation to now. I'm able to show you how the Quantum as an organization was able to move from the stage of data, right, to insight, and how they are able to answer critical questions about their data. So I'll talk about different personas in the organization and the core challenges that they have, right? And we're going to now use together on this call. We're going to now answer Quantum's key business questions, and then we're able to leverage on that to deliver better insights. Okay, so now the business analyst has a particular type of problem, and that is that the company or the organization have data silos, right? So large percentage of their time is being spent on gathering data, right? So there is this lack of flexibility using the legacy BI tools, right? It's also impossible to automate reporting. Then there's difficulties in addressing the report needs of each of the top executives. Now, the sales manager, as a result of that, has difficulties in determining a viable discount for each of their products. The sales manager could not ascertain the product suitability that are suitable for price increase. It's also almost impossible to determine the products that are requiring promotion, and also the sales manager lack insight that is needed to improve on customer purchases. Now, the marketing manager, on the other hand, has found it difficult to track and analyze market trends, right? She also struggles to prepare a realistic forecast for the business. Then she has practically no insight that is going to enable her to effectively strategize marketing campaigns. And then there's also the need to improve overall maybe customer buying experience. Now, the CEO has another set of challenges, which are that he has really no clear insight or no real-time insight into his business performance, right? And it's highly dependent on the business analyst for data and insight, which is really not forthcoming. Then there's also need to determine various business key performance indicators, such as the targeted profit, the regions that are performing the best or the regions that are performing the least, what products need to be optimized, and so on and so forth. And then also the insight into the different or suitable regions that are ready and that needs expansion. So from this together, we are going to be answering the questions of these companies, addressing the needs of each of the personnel, that the CEO, the marketing manager, the business analyst, and the sales manager. So the customer has data that is spread across several platforms. Some are residual in maybe flat files that are spread across several systems. Some are hosted in their Azure SQL Server, right? So now we are going to be using Power BI to connect to all of these data sources, house them into a single version of truth, and start answering the questions for the sales manager, for the marketing manager, and the CEO. So the next thing we are going to do is a demo. So I'm going to be on sharing the screen that you have right now, and I'm going to be sharing another screen where we are now going to answer Quantum's key business data. So the next screen you are going to be seeing up is the screen where I will now start to answer this in further detail. So just 1 second while I unshare this screen and while I share the new screen. So the first thing I want to show you is the company's database. So they have, I have to say that all of the data that we're using in this does not represent a real company. So the company has some data that is in their Azure SQL database. So they collect information about maybe what segments, the different countries they sell in, the products, the discount bands, units of the manufacturing, and also dates of each of the transactions. In addition to that, the company also has some data that is spread across several flat files, right? So we have the Quantum Data Master, the quantum dimension, the quantum fact, and a host of other data sources. So what I'm going to be doing next is really using Power BI to connect to these different data sources and try to answer the question that the marketing manager has, the sales manager, and also the CEO. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to click on the Get Data while on Power BI, right? I want to go to More, just so that we can see all of the different data sources that Power BI allows us to connect to. So you can see that if I go to File, Power BI allows us to connect to Excel file, text file, JSON files, folders, and even PDF files, right? And also you can connect to different databases such as IBM, MySQL, PostgreSQL, SAP HANA database, Amazon Redshift, and so on and so forth. You can also connect to database or data that are hosted in Azure, and also a host of software as a service solutions such as or online services such as SharePoint, Salesforce, Google Analytics, Dynamics 365, LinkedIn Sales, and a host of other sources. And even when some of these data sources that we want to connect to are not readily available in embedded in Power BI, we can actually create custom connectors to connect with our own native applications. So the first data I want to bring in is to really connect to the flat files, or let me say, let me first of all bring in the database, the Azure database that housed the company's data. So I'm going to click on Azure, I'm going to click on Azure SQL database, and I'm just going to say connect. So the next thing I have to now provide is information about the company's, the server details, which I have copied somewhere, and I'm just going to paste it here, and also to copy the database, right? And then I'm going to paste this here. I have an option to either go for direct query or go for import mode. For the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to be using import mode. So I'll click on OK, and then I'll watch how Power BI connects directly to that database. So I can select this right now, and I can say transform data. So you can see like a preview of my data here. I can go to transform data now, just so that I have my Power Query editor open, where I can do some transformation on my data, just so that if they are not clean or not. But as you can see, all of my data, I have 100% validity, no errors and no empty columns. The next thing I maybe want to do is to change this name from to Quantum DB, because this is their main database, right? So I can do this. So once I have the next thing, I want to bring in data from the flat files that the company has. So I can go to new source, I can click on Excel workbook, and I can click on quantum dimension. I click on open, just so that I can bring in the Excel files. Now I can see their product, I have product, and I have information about the product segment of the company. I can say okay now to bring this also into Power BI. Once I do this, I need to do some transformation, because as I can see, segment ID and segment are my headers, and I don't want it to be column 1 and column 2. So what I can do is to click on this, and then I say use first rows as headers. I can really go to product again and do the same thing, which is to click on this and say use first rows as headers. And I can see that I have 100% validity in my data, no errors and no empty column for both the product and then the segments. So the next thing I want to do is to close and apply these changes that I've made, right? So I can close and apply the changes, just so that I load my data back into Power BI, where I create a relationship between the data that I have. So I can create a relationship between the data that I have on, what's it called now? The data that I have on-premise and the data that I have in the cloud. So I'll just wait for a couple of seconds for this to finish loading. And once this is done, we can actually proceed with the core business of this. So you can see I'm currently now creating a connection to the data model. So this is going to take 1 or 2 more seconds for this to complete. Okay, so the Excel files are finished loading, and then I'm waiting for the database files. Okay. All right, 700 lows, it's detecting fine, beautiful. So I can go to the data model right now. And as you can see, we now have our data that is coming from the different sources. So these two are coming from Excel files that are hosted on-premise of the company. And then we have this data that is coming from the database. And you can see that we have actually brought all of this data into Power BI, and we have created relationship with them. Now, the next thing that the BI analyst wants to do, or the business analyst, is to start creating the visuals. And how best to do this is to come into the canvas. Maybe the first thing I want to see on the quantity, see the summary of maybe my gross sales, which I can put, I can click on here and maybe change this to a card visual, just so that I can see information about my gross sales. I can also see information about all my profits, or maybe all my discount first. I can change this to a card visual. I have this somewhere here. I can also try to see information about my cost of goods sold, and I can change this to a card visual and also put this here. While I'm done with this, I can even try to break this down across with using different parameters. So for instance, I can say I want to see my gross sales, and I go to the column or the products table and I select by product. So I can change this to a bar chart now and try to make you see the different breakdown across different products. I can come to format pane and say I want to add data labels. So I can see that my certificate of deposit is actually the highest grossing product that the company is selling. The next thing I can say, possibly I want to see the revenue breakdown by the different segments. So I can select my segments. I can also come to Quantum DB and say I want to see possibly my gross sales across the various segments. I can as well change this to a stacked column chart, and I also add data labels, so I can see this. The next thing I want to see, I may say I want to see the trend, maybe the month-on-month or the year-on-year sales. So I can click on dates here in my Quantum database, and then I can click on, let's still use my gross sales. So I can change this right now to a line chart. I drag this across the entire page, or maybe I change this to an area chart, right? And now the business analyst can continue doing all of this till he's able to build an intelligent solution that practically has all of these insights that answers the questions about questions that was posed by the sales manager, the marketing manager, and then the CEO. But I'm really not going to be talking about all of the insight that we can get from this data. My colleague is on this call, Olumide Olufiade, which is going to take us on the next journey on how to now uncover all of the insights that we have presented to us on this report, right? He is going to be really touching on that. But one thing that is critical to note is that in a matter of minutes, I think about 10 minutes or so, I've been able to connect to the company's various or disparate data sources. I was able to bring all of that into Power BI, create a model, and together we're able to build the company's report. So right now, I'll be pausing here. I'll allow my colleague to look, that's good luck, to look through the chat. If we have questions that we can take, maybe for about take 2 to 3 questions. And my colleague Olumide is now going to be walking us through this report and how we can interact with these reports to uncover all of the insight and even answer the questions that was posed by the sales manager, by the marketing manager, and then the CEO. So I'll pause here right now and allow Good Luck to take over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fatai, for that wonderful presentation. And sorry, apologies for that breaking transmission earlier on. So I'm going through the chat window to check if there are any questions from the audience. So far, okay, someone said, can we get the Power BI file later? Yes, we send it across to you. So far there is no question, and at this point we'll be handing over to Olumide, who will take us through the demonstration proper. And also don't forget, if you have any question, please make use of the chat window, drop all your questions and we'll answer them. Olumide, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you, Good Luck. So today I'll be running us through the next section of this session. We'll be looking at this brief demo regarding quantum. So the agenda that we'll be looking at today is we'll be looking at various insights that we're able to uncover from the short brief report that we've prepared ahead of this session. We'll also be looking at some of the functionality that is baked into Power BI that enables the organization to extract insights from the data, such as natural language query, AI visualization, dashboards, and sharing and collaboration. So I'll be sharing my screen now kindly bear with me when I share my screen.
Yes, Olumide, we can see your screen. Okay, it's coming up.
All right. Thank you. Hope we can all see my screen now. So this is a report that my colleague has shown us earlier that we prepared for Quantum to answer some of their challenges, right? Some of the challenges that they are currently facing. So this particular report, the page that we are on currently, is showing some of the key KPI that is very, very important to the organization that they are currently tracking, such as the total discount that the organization has given to their customer over time, and the total cost of goods sold, the profit, and the total sales. So represented on this page is various data regarding sales. As you can see from the chart that we have at the top left, this chart is representing the performance of different sales of different products within the organization. We can see that this chart was able to represent at a glance the ranking of each of these products, and we can see how this enables the sales manager to see which product is performing better than the other, and also the sales manager also was able to see the segment that is performing than the others when it comes to sales numbers. The same thing goes for location. We can see at a glance the location that are performing than the other. So as we all know, Power BI has been a very interactive report. The sales manager was also able to interact with different parts of this report. For example, the dates, and was able to see how each of the products is performing based on that particular time. So as you can see, for the year of 2013, for the month of November, we can see that the certificate of deposit, right, is performing better than the others. Why for the month of December, that changes. That is, the money market is performing than what the certificate of deposit was performing like. So we can see how this representation enables the sales manager at a glance to be able to understand what is happening across sales. So moving on, another page that we have represented here is some data regarding the discount that the organization has issued over time. As you can see, as this page also, we are having the various KPI that the organization is tracking represented at the top. And we can see at a glance starting from the left-hand side here, the total discount that has been given across different product lines that your organization is currently selling. So also we have represented here the various trends, how this discount has been given over time. And we can drill down to see what is it like for the previous year and the next year. And we can also decide to drill down for a particular year to see what that numbers look like. We can also decide to look at the number across the years. So also the data that we also have represented here is showing various discount bands, starting from the high discount, the medium, and the low, and lastly those products that don't have any discount as shared with them. So when we interact with each of this section of the chart, we can see how the other part of the report is filtering accordingly. So starting from the high discount band, we can see the implication of that on the profit that the organization is realizing. As you can see from the bottom right, you have the small card that is showing here. You can see how for high discount band, you can see that the certificate of deposit, CDS, is having the highest profit to realize, right? So let's see how that survives for medium discount band. We can see again that certificate of deposit is still the highest selling is the product is realizing the highest profit for that particular product category. So but let's see if that would be the same thing for low discount band. We can see that the same thing applies. But now looking at the set of the set of products that do not have any discount associated with them, we can see that this also remains the same. But let's look at how when the discount is given over time, let's see how that is changing over time, right? So looking at the chart that we have at the center, at the bottom of the report here, we can see that we have a representation showing us the change in discount that has been given by the organization by different business segments, right? So on looking at the medium discount band, we can see that for the small business, right, for the year 2013 to 2014, there's a kind of a change, right, in the amount of discount that has been given. You can see that in the year that proceeds 2013, there's a sharp decline in the amount of discount that was given by $0.2 million, right? And if you look at for other business segments, for government segment, for example, there is even further decline in the amount of discount that was given. So let's interact with the government segment, right, to see what that looks like. So we can see also the trend for each of these business segment, and see the trend in which is showing us how the discount has been given for over the years and over the months. So let's have a look further and look at the profit page, right? So we are going to bring everything together and see how the organization was able to bring all the data representation and allow each of the unit leaders to make key decisions. As you can see here, this page is showing us gross profit that the organization has realized over time, right? As we've shown up in the previous page, you can see on the left-hand side the total profit that has been realized by product, right? And you can see represented here the discount bands and the profit that were realized by each of the discount bands. As we can see here, the low discount band realized the highest amount of profit for the organization, and obviously, as we expect, right, the set of products that do not have any discount associated with them, right, realize the lowest amount of profit. So let's look at how this stack up over time. So before we look at each of the discount bands, you can see from the far right, right, how the trend of the profit is changing over the cost of goods sold. We can see within the month of July, we can see that the organization was able to spend a lot of resources when it comes to goods production, right? But for that particular month, there's a short decline in the amount of profit that the business realized. The same thing happens for the month of November for the next year. So we can see how this representation at a glance will allow the sales manager, for example, to know the effect of various data points on profits, right? At the same time, we also allow the market manager to know how to strategize and to know how to target campaigns for each of these business segments. So let's look at each of the discount band and let's see the implication on our profit, right? So starting from the low discount band, we can see here that we have a significant low amount of average cost of goods sold, right? Average cost of goods, right? And we can see a very high increase in profit. So we can see that there's a significant increase in profit for the month of October for year 2014, right? And we can see that you can see how this allowed the sales manager to know exactly the implication of the discount that he or she has given for this particular product. And we can see how each of the products that the way they are doing when it comes to profit, we can see, as we've shown earlier, that the certificate of deposit is the highest product that is generating profit, while the home loans is the one that is generating the lowest profit. So let's look at how this stack up by location. We can see that for this particular low discount, right, and for cost of goods sold, we can see that the cost of goods sold, right, have a significant number when it comes to within Europe, right? And when we hover over Europe, we can see that the numbers as the profits. We can see the profit number that has been generated by this particular region. We can also see how the sales manager was also able to look at a particular location. We can notice that we are currently on low discount band, right? We can see how for low discount bands for Europe, how the sales manager was able to pinpoint which product is doing better than the other, right? And which one is doing worse. Also, for this particular location, This will also enable the market manager to know where exactly to target ads or campaign, and in order to encourage customers from each of these locations to buy more. And also the market manager will also know exactly which products to target in order to encourage the customer to also buy more. So we can also see another chart that we have represented here, the representation of profits over by previous year, right? We can see that the various unit leaders will also have insight to what the trend of the profit that has been generated is like. We can see here for year 2014, we can see how the profit is trending. There's a spike in the month of June, right? Also in the month of October and also the month of December. This might likely be due to holiday seasons, right? And we can also compare head to head what this number was like based on the previous year. So we can see that the sales manager was able to see that for previous year, right, there was a very decrease in the amount of profit that the organization had realized, but that does not hold true for 2014, but a huge increase in profit. So we can see by interacting with this, right, we can see across various discount bands what the discount has been given for this particular month, right? And we can see that the discount that was given within the low discount band have significant profit, right? And why the not discount band also have even higher significant discount associated with it. So this might be telling the market manager that, or the sales manager that probably because in this particular month, right, they issue out more discount for the set of products, right? That encourage people to buy more. We can now see how this set of insight allow these different business unit leaders to know what is going on, right? Also know what might happen, and in turn allow them to plan ahead of time when it comes to the kind of campaign they might issue out based on the different product that they are selling, and also the location in which they might need to target this campaign to encourage customer. Also, they are also able to see which products, right, which they are going to target this set of campaign to, in order to encourage people to buy more and also enable the business to generate more revenue. Now that we've looked at what the representation that we have and how the sales manager and the market manager was able to look at this data and generate insights. So we all agree with me that this report will not just be seen by just two of these market business unit leaders, right? It will also be seen by other members of the unit that are not subject matter when it comes to marketing or sales activity. So each one of these individuals may not even know what to ask, right? They may not even know how the data is being represented. So which now brings us to another key functionality that Power BI have inbuilt by default, right? Which is natural language query. So this natural language query allows the various users of this report to interact with the report in a more natural way in which we communicate day in, day out. And what the benefit that this brings to the table is that the user do not have to know what the underlying representation of the data, and the natural language query will be able to represent as close as possible, right, the appropriate visual representation based on how the user is asking various questions. So we can see here that we have a couple of visualization represented on this page, starting from a profit month on month and by different country, right? And starting from the right-hand side here at the top, we can see the question that has been asked ahead of time. The question is, what's the total cost of goods sold over time, right? And we can see how Power BI was able to generate a trend of that question. So for the purpose of this illustration, I will remove the query to show us what that looks like before the user asks the question.
Olumide, you're muted.
Since when? Hope everyone can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you. We just stopped hearing you, so you can continue.
Okay, apologies for that. So we can see how this representation allows various users, which might not necessarily understand the underlying data, right, to ask this question. And Power BI was able to use the underlying AI to analyze the query, to know what question is being asked, and to know which visual representation best suits that query, right? You can see that we can see Power BI was able to analyze that, okay, the user is asking a question about question over time, right? And also question over cost of goods sold. So based on all this analysis that is done default by Power BI, this representation of line chart was being able to being represented to the user. We can see that the users now have an insight to what the cost of goods sold has been like over time. You can see that there's a significant increase in the cost of goods sold within the month of October and year 2014, and the same thing holds true for the month of October for the previous year. So let's have a look at another representation. So looking at this representation that we have on the bottom left, right, we can see that we are asking similar questions that we asked above, right? But here we are asking more complex questions. So let me just remove the query to show us again what that looks like before the user issues the query. So now that the user has entered the query, we have this representation, right? We can see that the user is asking for the previous cost of goods sold, right? And financials. So we can see, as I've mentioned earlier, the Power BI was able to analyze the underlying query to show the user what representation is likely might be of interest to the user, right? And we can see here the user issue another query to the query, right? Stating and financials. So you can see here that the user is not specifying a particular data point, but with this analysis that Power BI was able to do in the background, Power BI was able to identify financial data points that might be of interest to the user relative to the previous question that the user has asked, which is previous cost of goods sold. As you can see from the chart that Power BI represents to the user, we have the representation of previous cost of goods sold, that is by previous year, also various financial information based on previous year financial data, right? That is previous discount, previous profit, previous sales. We can see how this representation has allowed the various users of this report that don't understand or do not know the underlying representation of the data to ask a generic question. And Power BI was able to analyze the question using the underlying data to represent back to the user the likely visual that appeals to the user based on the asked question. Okay, this does not just stop there, right? You can see now that Power BI also represents here some data regarding some data segment, right? So you can see that the user do not usually have any query regarding this, but the Power BI knows that the user might want to see data based on some dimensions, right? And Power BI was able to represent this dimension in hierarchy, starting from business segment, locations, products. As you can see from this representation, even various discount band that has been issued by each of these products. You can see how this breakdown allows the user to consume the data at different level of aggregation, right? And allow the user to drill down at will to uncover various insights based on what is of interest to the user. Also remember, as I'm clicking on each of these visuals, you can see how the visual is being filtering, and the user was also able to see the trend of cost of goods sold by current year that user is looking at across board. So now that we look at various questions that user can ask and how Power BI was able to represent the visualization appropriately to the user. So let's look at what this looks like when the user first of all start interacting with the report. So that is what we have here on the right hand side, bottom right hand side. As you can see here, we have represented here various questions that the user is most likely to ask, and this question is represented to the user based on the underlying data, right? And if the underlying data change in the future, so this likely question is going to change. So you can see how this allow the various users of this report to ask questions, despite the fact that they don't know what to ask, right? They don't know where to get started. And this is one of the key functionality that enables Quantum as an organization to empower their various employees within the particular unit, also across various units that do not most likely knows that do not have knowledge experts about what each of the units are doing, right? But they want to uncover insight from the data that is represented from such units. So let's move forward and to show us other ways that each of these users within each of these units, right, that want to uncover insight, that do not know which question to ask. So let's just look at this particular page that we are right now, profit page, right? So the profit page here is showing us various data points regarding to profit across different dimensions. So assuming that a particular user, right, of this report don't understand the underlying data or do not know what question to ask, right? So Power BI has the functionality of Get Insight that has been added to it, right? So when I click on the button, right, on the right-hand side here, we can see how Power BI is loading some insight regarding the content that we have represented on this page. This might take a second to load. Okay. We can see how Power BI was able to represent the various anomalies that we have within our data, right? We can see the allotment profits, right? We can see how, when I hover over the first item that we have on this representation, we can see how Power BI was able to analyze the profit in relation to cost of goods sold, right? And we can see that Power BI also try as much as possible to explain where there is spike or where there are anomaly within the data when it comes to time, right? We can see that there is a spike in the month of October and also in the month of December for year 2014. And if you remember, we mentioned this earlier, right? Because we know what our data is like and we're able to analyze that. But Power BI also was able to show various users that may not necessarily understand what they're looking at. And it was able to show them where trends are happening in their data. And this does not stop on a particular data point. We can see how this also play along other data that has been represented. So the user can decide to click on this representation now to look at what is going on in more detail. We can see represented here the trend, how things is happening. We can see Power BI was able to highlight where key interesting things are happening in the data. Also, in the month of October, as we've shown earlier. Also, Power BI also try as much as possible to explain where things are happening along various data points. We can see here Power BI was able to show the user that in the country of Canada, right, there are interesting things that are happening when it comes to cost of goods sold based on that location and the profit that the organization is realizing, right? We can see the representation that Power BI tried to summarize for the user to enable them to know what is going on. Also, you can see the Power BI also try to explain and also analyze different products and show the user how this trend is playing along. So we can go back and remember, we can go back and check how this trend stack up for other data points, right, across the business. So you can see how this powerful functionality has enabled various people in the business to uncover insights from the data, right? And these various people that are interacting with this report do not necessarily have a full understanding of the representation, and they were able to know what is going on, where things are happening, the trend that is happening, which data point or which dimension is having implication on their data. So let's move on for a little bit further and look at another visualization that also enables various people in the organization to uncover insights with ease from the data. So we'll be looking at the three visual. So as we can see here, this is a typical visual that is breaking down a typical KPI that is very, very important to the organization, which is profit, right? As you can see here, we have the total profit represented for the organization, which is about $60 million, right? And we know that the business is generating significant amount of profit, but where are this profit coming from? So you can see how this representation allows the user to see what this looks like in a single glance. We can see that the user was able to look at the profit generated across different business segments within a single click, right? But looking at this representation, right, we know that within the business segments, within the government business segment, the small business, and down to the mid-market, the business is generating significant amount of profit, right? But this does not hold true for enterprise business segment. So it will be of interest for any individual that is interacting with this report to want to know what is going on. So on clicking on the enterprise business segment, right, we can see that the various user of this report was able to see what that looks like and why where the losses are coming from. We can see that the major losses is coming from the home loan, right? Now, on clicking on the home loan, user can also see which location the highest losses are coming from. They can see it's from the country Mexico, right? And the least losses is coming from the country Canada. And when interacting with each of these visual, we can see that we can see the effect of that losses when it comes to cost of goods sold and the amount of profit that business has realized. And we can see that the business is only selling for the month of December year 2013, and for the month of June, and also the month of October for year 2014 respectively. We can see that the organization have not recorded any sales in all other months. So we can see how this insight at a glance enables the sales manager to know how to better strategize to increase campaign to target the country Mexico when it comes to home loan, in order to encourage the various customers that they have across these locations, to encourage them to buy more. So if you look at the country, France, Germany, United States, you can see that the same pattern surfaces. You can see that the company is not recording a lot of sales over a period of months, right? This might result into, okay, let me say, this might be the likely reason why the organization is not realizing enough profit. So this insight at a glance, right, you can see where we started from, has enabled the various users of this report to drill down with ease without any effort whatsoever, and able to pinpoint where things are happening and the reason why those things are most likely to be occurring. And this information has been able to equip both the sales manager, the market manager, to be able to know what they might do when it comes to strategy to better encourage their customer across this business segment, across locations, to encourage them to buy more in terms of target campaigns, in terms of discounts, and so on and so forth, right? Now that we've looked at how this has empowered the various business leaders, the various unit leaders to generate insights, right? Let's look at how this set of reports that we have here has enabled the data analyst. Remember, another key important member of the organization is the data analyst. As my colleague has rightly mentioned earlier, the data analyst is having a whole bunch of challenge also. So to better explain or show us how the data analyst was able to solve those challenges, I will switch into the line view, right, to show us what that looks like. So what we have represented here is showing us how the data analyst was able to connect to different data sources, starting from the Excel, sending up SharePoint, and also within the local system, either within a VM or sitting locally or within a particular server, right? Also, the data analyst was also able to connect to SQL Server residing in Azure SQL, also connect to various SharePoint lists, and so on and so forth. You can see that all this data reside in various different sources. So beforehand, the quantum data analysts having difficulty unifying all this data. But with Power BI, all this data was able to be consolidated with ease. So you can see here that the data was able to be consolidated into what we call financial demo data. And on clicking on the financial demo data, right, we can see the set of tables that the data analyst was able to generate. Due to the unification of this data, we can expand the table to see what that looks like. And we can also see how the data analyst was also able to generate our financial demo report. Now, from this report that the data analyst was able to generate, we can see the various dashboards, right, that is targeted towards various business leaders that the data analyst or even the business leader themselves, that is the user of the report, was able to generate off of this report that has been created from all this unified data. Also, the data analysts also have challenges of going ahead and generate reports manually when data changes, right? But with this particular solution, right, or let me say the particular representation, the data analyst was able to refresh the data within a single click on demand, right? And the data and the report will refresh at will. Also, the user of the report was also able to schedule automatic refresh periodically to refresh the data and pull new data from the various data sources. So with the help of the on-premise data gateway, the Power BI data that is on-premise was able to be pulled on demand, also on refresh. So we can see how this representation allows the data analyst to unify the data, clean up the data, generate various reports and also dashboards, and also automate the reporting process, and also automate the data refreshing process. Now that we've looked at how the data analyst challenge was able to be resolved easily within Power BI, let's look at what the CEO, the top executive, challenges was, and how that was able to, and how Power BI was able to resolve that challenge. So the view that we have here is a typical dashboard, one of the dashboard that the data analyst has create for the consumption of the top executive. You all agree with me that most top executive does not have a lot of luxury of time at their disposal to be drilling down reports as unit experts will be doing, right? They want to see what is going across, what is happening across the business at a glance. So, and that is what this representation has been able to solve for the CEO of the organization. You can see here, we have represented here the top total sales that the organization has realized. And also, we also have represented here the trend of these sales by the current year that we are currently looking at, and also by the previous year. Also the other KPI that the organization is tracking is also represented here, starting from the total discount that the business has realized, total profit, total cost of goods sold. So for the total discount, we can see how the CEO was able to see what that looks like and how that is changing across business segments over time, right? Without needing to bother or think about how to generate such insights. Also, the profit also, we can see the trend and also the effect of the discount that has been given alongside profit. So the same thing goes for the cost of goods sold. So we can see here how this has enabled the CEO to generate insight from this data without needing to go through a bunch of reports, navigating through multiple pages in order to generate insights. So also the CEO also had the benefit of even issuing natural language query within the dashboard to extract insights from the data, right? Assuming that the data is not currently represented in the dashboard, the CEO can easily click on any of the predefined questions, right? And the appropriate representation will be displayed for the CEO to see. You can see how this representation has allowed the top executive to generate insight from their report at a glance without need to stress too much, and they are able to know and have a holistic view what is happening across the organization. So now that we've looked at how various business leaders, how various unit leaders was able to generate insight from their data, right? Let's look at how this report can be shared across various individuals within the organization, even outside the organization, right? So we all know that if this report is generated and we are unable to share it with the respective individual that need to consume the report is useless, right? So we can do that easily and embed within team chat. So which means that we can click on team chat and surface this report directly within the unit channel, which means that every individual within the unit have visibility to what the KPI or the metrics that the organization is tracking looks like without needing to switch between applications in order to gain insight to what this data point looks like. So this report can also be shared via email. It's simple as just providing the email of the various recipients or the group email, and it's simple as that, right? Also, the report can also be so let me switch to another page. So looking at this particular page, this particular report that we are looking at earlier. So this report, as we are looking at it, can be exported, for example, in different formats. For example, in Excel. So this means that various users of Excel, right, that are so comfortable with Excel and they want to analyze this data further to know what is going on under the hood, right? They have the benefit of the doubt to pop this data up in Excel without needing to export the data and continue with the analysis. And also they can export the report as PowerPoint presentation and also as a PDF. So this is very important for various users that likes to share this report in this format for people outside the organization. So let's look at other ways that this report can be embedded. So we can see here that the report can be embedded in various forms. Like, for example, we can embed this report into SharePoint Online. We can embed it into a particular website or into a portal. We can embed it into a public internet. So this means that we can decide to publish this report into a public web, which means that any individual that have access to this link can build this report as well. Also, we have a playground that allows the developers, right, to develop and embed this report with custom build application that the organization has come up with or planning to come up with, which enables them to surface these various insights in these various solutions. So these are some of the ways in which we can consume our report in terms of sharing within the organization or outside the organization. So let's look at some of other collaboration mechanism that we have, that we can use, that we can leverage on when it comes to Power BI. So we can see this is a particular dashboard that I showed us earlier that was surfaced to the top executive, right? So this dashboard, right, we know quite well that the underlying data has been automated. When new data comes in, the Power BI report refreshes automatically. But the question now arises, how are the key decision makers going to know when things happen, when things changes, when they need to make decisions? So Power BI have the notion of alert inbuilt into the dashboard. So when I click on this particular more option button, you can see from the drop down, we have more alert, manage alert. So on clicking on manage alert, we have this pop-up window opens. As you can see here, I have two predefined alert that has been set earlier. But to define another one, it's simple as clicking on add alert rules, and the user can specify what they want to, how they want to track this particular KPI. If they want to check if the KPI number is above a particular threshold, so let's say, for example, 1 million, right? So if this threshold is above 1 million, the user wants to get alert either within 24 hours or every hour. So the user has the luxury of specifying this. The user also has the luxury of specifying either to receive an email notification and get notified when this happens. So remember, the user also can change the condition, either when this threshold fall above this or below this. For the purpose of this illustration, let us click on above, right? On saving and closing this, the user is going to get notified when the data is refreshed and this various threshold has been hit. So this has, you can see how this has allowed, let's say, for example, the CEO to know what is going on across the business, because apart from just opening the dashboard to see what is going on, the CEO will be notified when things are actually happening. And this allows the CEO to point the various individuals in the organization to take action. For example, when we click on hard comments, right? So the CEO can point a various individual within the organization to this particular metrics to take action. For example, let's say we have Fatai, right? Assuming Fatai is the sales manager, the CEO can point Fatai to take a closer look at what is going on as this KPI is concerned. So on posting this comment, Fatai will receive a notification and he will see what the CEO is pointing to, and when it comes to metrics, right? And Fatai will be able to see as the data has refreshed, Fatai will be able to see what has happened and take decision, or let me say take action on that particular insight. So for a quick one, we've been able to show you how Quantum as an organization has enabled the organization across all units, right, to gain insight from their data, starting from the business leaders, that is market manager, the sales manager, also the CEO. So each one of them was able to know what is going on in the business. At the same time, surface to them various insights that has enabled them to take proactive decision. So it doesn't just stop there, right? Data analyst, for example, was able to create reports by connecting to various data sources in an automated way, and each of these data sources was able to be refreshed on demand, also at will. Also, it was also able to generate various dashboards that are tailored towards the top executive, which enabled them to uncover insight with ease from the report. So moving to the sales manager was able to look at various.
You can only see the first screen.
Hello, can we all hear me?
I can actually see your current screen. You can go ahead.
All right. So we can see how the representation as the report is to the sales manager has allowed her to have an holistic view of what the effect of different data points that the business is currently tracking is having on their sales. For example, discounts. The sales manager was able to see what the sales number was like across different locations, across different business segments. And this allowed the sales manager to strategize what discount to be given, what level of discount to be given for a particular product, right? And she was able to identify a sweet spot when it comes to discount band. And this sweet spot will allow the organization to generate the highest amount of revenue. So moving forward, also we're able to show you or show us how the sales manager was able to see various implications when it comes to the way the customer are interacting with their product and when they are interacting with the product. So this trend allows the market manager to know how to target campaigns for each of these individual customers, right? And even for a particular product that particular customer is buying, and know how to target the campaign so that each of these customers will be encouraged to engage with the organization more, and also to enable them to buy more products. So, and lastly, the CEO was able to consume the dashboard that the analyst has created for him. And this insight that the dashboard uncovered for the CEO allowed the CEO to make key decisions, also allows him to point the various business leaders in the direction and allow them to take action, right, on that particular various KPI that has been changing over time due to the automated process that the analyst has been put in place. We can now see at an holistic view how the report that has been generated for this organization has enabled them to empower every individual in the unit, be the top unit leaders, be the CEO, or even the various individuals within the organization that don't understand or that are not that don't understand the underlying data or the way the data is being represented, to interact the report in a natural way, and this enables them to uncover insight from the data. So I believe this representation that we have here speaks to various individuals that are on this that are in this session today, and Power BI has the ability we have the ability to use this set of functionality and to leverage on the various data that your organization are currently represented, and to have similar experience across various units, across various business products that the organization might be selling. And this in turn allows your organization this brings more value to your organization in a nutshell. I believe this brings us to the end of the demo today. And I want to ask if any individual on this call today have any question for us, kindly put it in the chat so that we can attend to them accordingly. Thanks for taking the time to partake in today's session. Over to you. Good luck.
Thank you, Olumide, for that wonderful demonstration. So far, indeed, what you don't measure, you can't manage. So we've answered most of the questions. I don't know if you still have any question, please, you can still drop it using the chat window, and we'll attend to all of them. So we'll be giving like a minute or two for you to ask your questions. Okay, thank you for the amazing session. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So in the absence of any question, just to mention, we'll be sending a quick survey to you, and we're expecting a feedback from you. Okay, thank you very much. We'll be expecting a feedback from you. Also, for those who requested for the recording, yes, we will be sending the recording based on demand to you. Just to
Hello, good luck.
Okay, hello, Fatai.
Yes, I mean, even though we've answered some of the questions in the chat, I just want to touch on one or two and sort of give like a background to it. So I think one of the questions was about if we can get the underlying or underlying data, since they can't have access to the database we used. And I just want to mention that one of the core ways to get, once you launch a Power BI desktop, for instance, there is actually a data set that have been embedded directly into Power BI. Just by clicking on sample data, we can actually have access to this data that was used in this presentation. So you can actually leverage on that to do your own analysis. Another question I saw here was if Power BI can be used to discover anomalies. I'm trying to look for that question. Yes. So the question says, is it possible for the underlying data to be wrong? If yes, is it possible for Power BI to present an incorrect or inaccurate outcome or decision? So to answer that question in a nutshell, so it's possible. You know that first of all, Power BI is connecting to your data source, right? The data that you have already collected in your organization, whether that data is residing in a database or that data is residing in a flat file. So it is now the person that is trying to get this data into Power BI to analyze it. First is the person's responsibility to have like will I say, high level understanding of where that data is, and even know, I mean, just using any incorrect data or any anomalies in that data. So all of those can be taken out, possibly during the transformation section on Power BI. Also, there are also other AI capabilities, like I mentioned, for you to even discover. Let's say there are some anomalies or some inconsistency that is not easily visible to whoever is working with that data set. You can actually leverage on Power BI's AI capabilities to discover anomalies in that your data. Then you can now take a decision on what exactly do you want to do. Do you want to there is also a way you can use business logic within Power BI to kind of like force your data to cooperate with what you're trying to achieve. So let's say you are expecting, for instance, numbers between 0 and 100, for instance, and you now get a data, or you bring in a data that is 10 million, for instance. So you can clearly tell that that is actually an error. So you can actually write business logic also to forcefully convert any number that is above 100, for instance, into the upper band that you speculate. Or maybe you're trying to do percentage, so you actually want something to be between 0 and 100%, for instance, and you're getting 1,500%, possibly because of the kind of data. You can actually also tweak that to make sure that the upper band is actually 100%. Another question that I saw here is if we can use Power BI to collect data, right? So Power BI is a business intelligence and analytics tool, like we mentioned earlier. What Power BI allows you to do is to connect to a data source, or data sources rather, that have that data present already. If you are looking to actually do data collection, there are other solutions within the Power Platform or the Microsoft suite, such as the Power Apps and so on and so forth, that can allow you to actually collect data. So once you use all of those solutions to collect your data, you can actually connect Power BI to that data source and you can do transformation. And I think we also mentioned earlier that there is no limit to any data source that Power BI can connect to. So if in your present organization right now, you have data that are maybe possibly spread across different solutions or softwares, or maybe different departments. We've seen scenarios whereby there are data in the marketing department that are not cooperating with the one in the finance department, in the sales department, and all. So we can actually use Power BI to unify all of those data sources, present a single version of truth, and you are now able to dimension and understand your business across your different departments. So each of those departments are not in isolation. You can see how marketing is affecting finance. You can see how maybe delay in processing invoices in finance is affecting maybe operations from the HR department, or the operations department, really. So you can actually use Power BI to achieve or to eliminate data silos and have a single version of truth. So those are just some of the questions I just wanted to touch point on. I think there's also another question about I think training. Like I said earlier, Reliance as an organization, we are also empowered to not only just help you maybe purchase licenses, we're also able to help you possibly provision these licenses across your organization. We are also able to train you, because when Good Luck started, she started so if you want to incorporate based on what you learned today, you want to embed the business intelligence into your core fabric and your core solution, we can actually work with you on that journey. So we start from, first of all, even trying to understand your present requirements, your present data sources, what are the data challenges, just the way we did for Quantum. We're able to very high level. We're able to accurately tell you how many kind of maybe Power BI licenses you need, and also able to even train, also help you what is it called now? We also help you to answer some of these critical questions. So we are also able to help you deploy a functioning Power BI solution, right? So we can help you do that. We can help you understand, scope your business requirements, come up with resolutions on how to solve them, or use data and Power BI to solve those business challenges. We're also now able to help you implement. So not just help you buy licenses right now, we're also able to help you implement in your environment, also train you and provide support for your organization across a certain period of time. So I've mentioned business requirement, I've mentioned license provisioning, I've even mentioned training. So we are always available to do all of this with you. For even some organization, I think we also even do proof of concept. So if you even want possibly your organization to have like a proof of a solution in your environment. So we saw one or two business case for you. You have that the Power BI, that solution within your environment. You use it for a period of time. I am not able to ultimately, which is maybe if problems, for instance, we can address those problems. We do the proof of concept, we deploy this into your environment, you use it for some time, which is going to ultimately help you in that whole process before you now make the decision to say, oh yes, we want to actually go full-fledged to use Power BI for our business reporting and analytics need. And so far, one of the critical things that we should get from what we discussed today is that we don't even need to be experts we don't need to be expert at all in possibly analyzing data or even writing any query to use Power BI. You can see all the things we did, from trying to bring in the data to creating the visuals to getting the insights. We didn't write a single line of code. You can see we didn't write a single line of code. So Power BI is really enabling organization to leverage on some of these low code, no code features to answer critical questions about your business, and also have insights also. The final thing that I also want to mention is it's even possible that you want to even modernize your data journey or your database. Possibly you have Excel files currently, and you want to move all of those to you want to leverage Power BI to synchronize all of this data and have a single version of truth or a single source of truth. We can also help you to achieve that. So that is just it from my end. I can see that there are no further questions. So over to you, Chinyere, while I also monitor the chat, but if there are other
Yes, thank you very much for that
questions.
explanation. Yes, thank you very much for that explanation. So I'll quickly share a video with us before we call it a day. Okay, that is the end of my own presentation, and thank you everyone once again for joining us on today's Microsoft Power BI webinar session. And in the absence of any other question, we've come to the end of this webinar session. Like I said earlier on, we'll be providing the recording based on demand, and we'll also be sending across to you a survey question and be expecting your feedback. In the absence of any other question, we'll call it a day. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.